Hi, well, welcome to the Everyday Tarot Podcast, your daily dive into the divine wisdom of the tarot. I'm your host, Camille A. Saunders, healer, tarot reader, and professional witch, and today I'm joined by my guest, Doris Taylor. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Of course. Thank you so much, Camille, for having me on your podcast. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Doris. I am a herbalist and a nurse, and um, I founded Moonshine Wellness almost 4 years ago now, which is really exciting to still be in business this long. And I am a burnout recovery specialist. I work with people to recognize, prevent, and recover from burnout. And um, I my website is moonshinewellnesspnw.com. I have once a month workshops that I do regarding reframing how you view what keeps you in burnout. And I have my next workshops in January, and I do quarterly webinars. And my next quarterly webinar in February is going to be on sleep because most people I know do not sleep well. So I'm excited to bring that to people.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, if you want to connect further with Doris, you can go to moonshinewellnesspnw.com, go to instagram.com/moonshinewellnesspnw. And then, yeah, to find the events, you go moonshinewellnesspnw.com/events for the January workshop or the February sleep webinar. Yeah, and then for folks listening to this episode, if you hear this and you want to be a guest on the show, I will have the link in the show notes to fill out my guest inquiry if you'd like to join me for the future. And if you haven't listened to my other seasons yet, you can check those out. This season is all guests, and then wrapping up my wild year of recording Monday through Friday, or putting out episodes Monday through Friday for all of 2025. And I'll be chatting about what's next for next year. So, yeah, Doris, I'm curious to just kind of get started. Like, how often do you pull cards? Do you prefer tarot or oracle? Like, what does that look like for you?
So I try to regularly pull cards on a Sunday night to get a feel for what's coming up in the coming week. And so I haven't been able to do like a daily practice, but that's something that I have committed to is doing once a every Sunday evening, once a week to really just kind of feel out how the week's going to go. And then on the Sunday, I look at the card and I look at how the week did go and see if it really did kind of
Mhm.
match with the card or like how that played out. Um, and it's surprising, like most weeks I can be like, oh yeah, that happened. Like
Yeah.
now you can see depending on what the card was, like, oh, looking back, how it really did kind of fit with what happened. And that's the surprising thing to me about tarot is how like on point it can really be. And so really I prefer tarot decks over oracle cards. I just
Do you feel
feel
like because of the specificity or the structure or
I feel with the how specific it can get.
yeah.
And how like it just kind of pulls away like layers. Like I used to do a fair amount of pendulum work, and it really felt like pendulums will tell you what you want to hear, but not what is true. And tarot's like, oh no, this is this is this is the reality of
Yeah.
what's going on. Because I'll do like the weekly um poll, but then if I have like bigger questions, about my business or personal life or anything that's going on, then then I'll do a spread or just kind of a check-in too, especially
Yeah.
on full moons or new moons. Then I will try to do like a spread, just kind of like a further deeper kind of check-in as to like how I'm doing and what the future kind of looks like and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I definitely prefer the tarot. tarot decks.
Yeah. Okay. So do you remember your card you pulled for this week? And then also I'm like, where do you put it? Do you have it on an altar somewhere? Do you just leave it like up somewhere?
I pulled the wands. It was like, I want to say like seven of wands. It was like, I used the crow tarot deck,
Okay.
and it was like the crows on top and the other crows were like coming up the mountain. And I
Okay.
think it was the seven of wands. And I don't pull a lot of wands, so that was kind of surprising.
Yeah.
I tend to
Yeah.
pull a lot of like swords and major arcana sometimes. So it's funny how you get like you tend to pull similar cards.
Yeah.
Some cards like you will never pull in a deck.
Yeah. Yeah. I realized that when I started reading for other people, that I was like, I've never seen that card before, which of course is like not true. Like I've looked at all the cards for every deck,
Hmm.
but that's how it feels, where it's like, oh yeah, I know I pull the same card all the time. Or even when I use different decks, I'll go back to a deck after a while and I'm like, oh, yep, same girly show for me.
Hmm.
And that was like a very interesting, yeah, part of starting to read for other people sometimes was like, oh, they really like present for other people's energy
Yeah.
too. And it felt
Yeah,
like,
when I pull for other people, the same thing where I'm like, oh, like I've never had
yeah,
any.
like, wow, how
Oh.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting how like it's like telling you like these are your things that you need to like pay attention to. So,
Yeah. 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 What do you think of like the ones was about this week? I know our week is not over, but
um, I think it was about challenges and
mm,
being able to move through challenges. There was a very tense meeting I was part of on Wednesday,
yeah.
and uh, I was like, oh yeah, that's
Oh yeah, this was the card. Okay. Okay. So it felt like, yeah, that's kind of what's going on.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think now what cards I usually pull. I mean, my decks are all very different, and I have actually a lot of Oracle now, so there's a little bit harder ability to like match, from deck to deck. But I feel like for me, it's like cups, yeah, major arcana, and mm, yeah, pentacles. Probably for me, I attribute that to like uh I don't always want to feel my emotions and like I usually need to ground in some way. So usually I'm like, oh yeah, those are the cards that I like need to think about.
I feel like I am too grounded at times. And
What's
so
your like sun sign astrology? Your
Scorpio.
Scorpio. I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have like Scorpio sun moon rising. Like
Yeah.
it's I'm heavy in my Scorpio.
Yeah.
And I see that more now that I am not burned out like I was. Like for my whole
Mm,
life, I feel like I was burned out and disconnected and
yeah.
disengaged. And now that I'm 4 years out of that, I really feel I see the Scorpio more. Like I felt because I'm on the cusp of Libra and Scorpio.
Okay.
Feel when I was burned out, I was way more Libra. And because I was like codependent, people pleasing.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, mm-mm.
Yeah.
Scorpio comes out. I'm like,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
Yeah. And Scorpio is one of those like interesting, right? Like it's a water sign, but that's sort of like not always the energy that you get from Scorpio. I don't know, like it's kind of like a fiery water, or like maybe you're saying like an earthy. I mean, scorpions are on the ground. I think of that. Yeah. Do you have other like earth sign placements?
I don't, not that I know of. See, I've
Okay.
only done one of the free online astrology chart
Yeah.
things, and I really want to engage with an astrologer who like really knows astrology and does it really.
Yeah.
and have them read my chart and interpret it, because I like it's confusing to me. I find it fascinating, but it's confusing to me. So, um,
Yeah. There's also just a lot of like, yeah, it's like literally hard to interpret, right? There's like symbols and like different ways to read, to pull the chart.
they're like, well, it's in
Um,
your eighth house and it's your
yeah,
like fifth house. I'm like, I don't know.
yeah,
No idea.
yeah. I feel like I've learned a lot of it through, yeah, like either having like a printout of my birth chart and being able to like look at it, and then using the Chani app, who does like astrology all the time. Because you can have your birth chart in there and then they kind of like tell you how it applies to you. And then they also talk about like the collective, so like the current astrology, um, which I also am like, that's more of like the horoscope kind of side of it that we like hear about in
Right.
society, right? Is like what's happening right now, where the planets are right now, how does that impact your personal chart?
That shit.
Um,
No, that's what it is. It's a shit show.
Current astrology is a shit show. Yeah. I do feel like the sort of collective right now, like this week, I was talking with Izzy about that this morning, is like there's a lot of like intensity and then also like letting things go and like relationship endings are like different, like intense kind of like endings going on. It's like letting things go maybe in a way that like you weren't aware that that needed to happen or that like that was going to happen.
Right.
I've had some like to me, which is fairly predictable at this like season of the year is like holiday season where like there's more stress. It's dark in the northern hemisphere and there's like kind of like a pressure building that it
Okay.
kind of like forces. It's like either you like really lean in or you're like, nah, I'm out. Where I've had like some client like ending thing going on, which to me I'm like, yeah, that it's like a time of year to like reflect on things and to decide like, do I want to keep doing this? Like, what do I like about it? What's not working? Um, but again, it's like I hadn't had any clients like come in or leave for like months. And then like this week I've had like two and like perhaps more. I'm not done with clients for this week yet, but we'll see. There's just kind of like an interesting
Yeah.
collective shift into
Mhm.
like, yeah, what am I letting go of this year? What am I like not doing anymore starting now or like next year?
Well, and like I've been sending you, there's the Chinese astrology with, this is the
Yeah, or snake shedding, right? Like, yeah,
and I think it's a year 9, and then the horse is next year, and that's a fire horse, and so it's like fiery movement forward
yeah,
and action, and so it's very, yeah.
yeah,
I
very
find all
different.
this very fascinating because, people will say, like you'll see online where people were like, you know, in 1775, 1776, this was the astrology of the world. And then, the American Revolution happened. And here it
Yeah,
is again. I'm like, holy shit.
yeah, yeah. Next year, 250 years.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it is that is what I like about astrology is the like the fact that obviously it's on like a bigger scale, like a bigger time scale where you can look at things. Like I feel like tarot can be very kind of like in the moment, right? It picks up on energy in the moment or like sometimes I feel like I'm like channeling something in the moment. And you can look to the future. I think you can reflect on the past, but it's like it doesn't feel as like wide or like the breadth of it. At least the way that I usually am like looking at it and reading it and reflecting it. But I do like the astrology, right? It's like obviously the planets have all been out there for a long time and that like that has been present for a long time and people have been studying it for a long time and marking where things are. And yeah, to look at patterns, which like I love to do as a therapist. That's like that's what I feel like therapy work is like seeing, identifying patterns, helping people make decisions about if you want to stay in that pattern or not. Um, and I think like tarot, right? Obviously, one of the things I like about it is that like yeah, has the same structure all the time. Like it's a predictable pattern in a lot of ways.
But
So
also it can reveal, I think it reveals like so many patterns that you don't even know exist. And so
yeah.
for me, it really gets in that deeper subconscious pattern that get that keeps you stuck in situations and thought patterns. And I think like using tarot is a good way to like kind of pull away what you think is real and to really
Mm,
cut the knife and be like, this is what's really going on. And
yeah.
I think it can really reveal a lot of uh, things that you try to hide from yourself.
Yeah.
And like it's just a way of like cutting through the noise and be like, look, this is where you are right now. And I've used it a fair amount to look at the future, even if it's just a simple three deck where it's or a three card pull and you're
Yeah.
like past, present, and future, like something simple like that to be like, okay, what's coming forth, and I think it's a good way to like kind of prepare for the future. Like right before in the fall of 2019 near Samhain, I got the Tower card
Mm.
and I was just like, oh, but I was doing a lot of other like trauma work, and so it made sense. But then, 2020 happened.
Then the ultimate
Oh,
tower.
it's
Yeah.
really and then like the 2021, I quit working as a staff nurse, and so it was like looking back, I was like, oh, and you have no idea, right?
Yeah.
Here's things that are going to happen, but you really have
Yeah.
no idea.
I know. And I'm like, this is why they always tell us to like keep a tarot journal, right? Like write down everything you pull because it is very interesting to be able to look back at it. I just know for myself, I've never been very good at keeping a literal journal of like every card I pull. I take pictures, as you know, like when I pull cards. Because then I think for me, one of the interesting things about tarot too is that like in our society, we spend so much time in like talking, mental, like overthinking, intellectual world. And we don't always spend a lot of time like looking at things. And so I really like the visual aspect of tarot too, because I feel like that, yeah, taps into like another level of understanding. And of course, I still like read the little book and I like make sense of it and I'll journal about it sometimes. But I know for me, that's like one of the things that's very helpful in like the same way that like I sometimes as a client and then occasionally as a therapist use like art therapy where you kind of just start like drawing something or like how does this feel? What color is it? What does it look like here? And like as to like as a different way to describe like what's going on in the
Yeah.
moment.
I've tried to keep a pulled the card
Me too.
journal, and
So many
I'll do it
times.
for like a week or
Yeah.
so, or I'll try to do it like on when I do a full moon, or
Yeah.
like some of the major,
Yeah.
or like when I do a
Events.
spread,
Yeah.
and then but like it's random, like it's a couple times a year,
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
I think for me, it's like part of it is that writing it down takes me a little out of the process. Like it's hard to like to be like, oh, okay, like this is what I'm thinking. I'm gonna write it, and then let me like go back and write. Like there's something about it that yeah feels like even sometimes by the time I'm trying to write it, I'm like I don't remember what I just thought. Like and what was I thinking? And again,
I
it's like
mean,
I know that it's like that's best practice because I think it is like you can see patterns and you can see like you said, oh yeah, I pulled that card then. I just know that for me, like that's one of those things that like all the tarot books and all the tarot people say to do that I'm like, you don't have to. Like I've tried. Like I said, I take pictures because it's like fast and then I can literally look back later have my pictures and have the
I
exact
never.
date.
I'll take pictures and then I never go back and been like, okay, what did this mean? And
Yeah.
write about it. Like I'll pull a spread and then like kind of like read it through because I'm still also the kind of person that reads the book. Like I don't know
Yeah.
the story of the tarot and how to weave that in. Um, and then I'll just kind of sit with it and then feeling like I'm processing, but then I process a lot by writing. So when I do write it down, then it feels like it hits differently too.
Yeah.
We're all switching from like one side of the hemisphere of your brain to the other when you're like feeling and thinking
Yeah.
in
That's
the
true.
pattern and then you're writing, like that's a whole different side of your brain that you're engaging. So it does pull you out of that pattern of like of what the meaning what is and the
Yeah.
symbology to like, no, I'm gonna like write it all down. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like, yeah, I know on the occasional times that I've like had tarot readings or like paid for ones, I do, I like thought about this recently where I was like, oh, I now understand why people will like record it or like almost like pull a transcript because it's like I had I read cards for people at Thanksgiving. So, it's been like 2, maybe 3 weeks. And someone texted me the other day and was like, hey, like, can you take pictures of like in the book, kind of what it said? Because I was sharing it then. And I was like doing it and I was like, I don't remember any of this. Like clearly in the moment, I was like, yeah, this all makes sense. But like looking back at it, even as the person that like was helping explain it, I was like, I hope this helps. I don't even remember kind of like what was all coming to me at that time. And I think to me, that is the part of it that kind of like feels like channeling. And maybe like you're saying, it's kind of this aspect of like, it's this part of my brain that feels like it's like tapping into like their energy and what I see of the cards and what I know about them and like what feels right at that moment. And then when I go into the like trying to write it or like grasp onto that, I'm like, oh, it's gone. Like,
yeah. Oh, 100%.
um,
Like I've
yeah,
gotten some readings done and I wish I had recorded the sessions because you just don't like you maybe remember the highlights,
yeah,
don't remember like the details of anything. And it's so then it's like what did they say? Like what was the
yeah.
and
But
even
I
if
feel like there's things where it's like in the moment, like we're saying about tarot, right? It's like you pull it and you're kind of like, I don't know what this is about, right? At the beginning of the week, and then later you're like, oh, that's what that was about. Where I
yeah,
think sometimes in the moment, certain things stick out, but then later when you've maybe like other cards have become relevant, or then it's like, oh, what was that one though? Like it didn't click with me at the time, but now I'm very curious.
yeah.
Yeah, where I'm like, yeah, I see why people do that. Because yeah, like I do have that desire sometimes to, I could go listen to my old episodes, so that helps me in that way. But like to go back and be like, what, kind of what was going on then? Because even just like context of like what's going on in the
Right,
world, the
like what was the question?
news,
What's
yeah.
the
Or
meaning
that
behind
like right if
it?
right now I got a card that was like water, river, flooding, I'd be like, "Oh, yep, that's like what's happening like outside right now." But like am
Accurate.
I gonna remember that in a month? Like probably not, right? Like I think as humans, it's like we're so good at like looking to the future and then like we're like totally like trauma from the past. It's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I blocked that out."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, okay. Yeah. So you like tarot better. That's your preference. Do you remember when you like first found out about tarot or like got your first deck? Like, what was any of that
Yeah,
like?
my first deck was actually an oracle deck. It was the
Okay.
Goddess Oracle deck when I was in my, it's like 20 years ago, and I was just starting to explore like witchcraft and paganism. And I was at uh, a metaphysical store, and they had or the Goddess Oracle deck, and like I didn't even know who like my patron goddess was or like who was really speaking to me.
Yeah.
I mean it's all a journey, right? You're just figuring all those pieces out. And so they had a open deck of the Goddess Oracle deck,
Okay.
flipping through, and then one. like really kind of pulled to me or spoke to me, and it was Rhiannon. She's a Welsh
Mm.
goddess.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's how I like figured out like who my patron goddess
That's
is,
cool.
and I still follow her now. And so, but then my first tarot deck I bought, it was like the Witch's tarot deck.
Mm. Okay.
Um, so, and then I've got maybe a handful of them that I use now. And I really like, and it's interesting because I've been gifted some and some, and they work for a while. And
Mm.
then, like, but the Crow deck has really, like, I've had that for
Yeah.
years probably, and it's really spoke to me for quite some time.
I feel like that's very Scorpio of you to have the crow deck. It's very like just kind of like I don't know. Like I when I think of Scorpio, I think of sort of the like dark on the outside, but like actually like very intuitive, very emotional, very passionate, very and I think like crows have a bit of that rap where they're like, oh, they're associated with like the dead things and like stuff, but also they're like incredibly smart and also like incredibly emotional, I think, right? They have a very complex society system,
Yeah.
crows do, and very
Well, and
vocal.
there's symbols for like the Morgan. There's
Yeah, that's
they're
true.
uh,
Yeah,
messengers
yeah,
in a lot of the pantheons. So,
yeah,
and
yeah. Which kind of like birds in general get that rap, but yeah, you're right that crows in particular are sort of very often in that sort of association. Yeah,
which feels very appropriate when you're doing a tarot spread or like pulling cards, like you're asking for messages
yeah,
from like your higher self or your guides or whoever. And so it feels very appropriate. So
yeah, yeah. So how did you find the crow deck, or how did it like find you?
I was in, I think I got it from Third Place Books, and
Okay,
I was just
great place. Yeah.
browsing their like metaphysical occult section. And because I used to do that way more when I was beginning, right? Like you
Yeah,
can
same.
collecting books, like all the books.
Yeah.
But I don't do it as much now. And I don't remember if I was looking for something specific. I think I was probably looking for stuff on the Morgan because she spoke to me about 4 years ago when I was leaving my staff job. And so I was just kind of browsing, looking for some books, and then I was like, "Oh, this is cool." And I think it's a local artist to Seattle.
Oh, cool.
And so I was like, "Oh," so I was like, "Here's my gift to myself for leaving my stuff."
That's right.
And it's been great. It's been like so, sometimes you just don't connect super well with a deck, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like, oh, these are like spot on. So I remember when I was leaving or just after I had left, I was pulling some cards and I got the Hermit, and I was like,
Mm.
yeah,
Like, yep,
that's what
that's
I did
it.
for like 3 months was just hibernate. And
Yeah.
I quit and like took time off, and I was like, oh yeah, yep. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, what I always love about the hermit card is that it's like, yeah, we think of it as like withdrawing, right, from society or from wherever you are. But then they come back, right? Like the hermit is supposed to share the knowledge, right? Which I think is like what you're doing in your business, right? Which is kind of like, yeah, I had to go through this and it was terrible and I had to figure it out a lot on my own. And like, I don't necessarily want everyone else to have to do that. Like, I would love to, right, help people from what I've learned and what worked for me and then find what works for them
right.
too.
Yeah, I mean that's very, very true.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm curious then. I don't know if we've ever talked about this, but like, do you identify as a witch? Do you identify as pagan, spiritual? Like, where do you sit on that
I identify
spectrum?
as a pagan witch.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
know not all witches are pagans and not all pagans are witches, but I
Yeah.
identify as both. Um, where I have my practice as a witch, and then I celebrate like the Wheel of the Year and the pagan celebrations. I feel
Yeah.
that is more of like the religious practice of as paganism, and then witchcraft as my like daily
Mm.
spiritual.
Yeah.
Not that it's always daily, to be honest, but I try.
Yeah. It's like your everyday ritual, but it doesn't mean you do it every day. Yeah. 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 So I think I have an understanding like for myself of kind of how like you're saying that like you have kind of like the religion, like spirituality aspect, and then you have like the craft, the witchcraft that you do. How do you understand like those similarities or differences or like define them in your mind?
So I define them as like paganism as the overall kind of like religious like practice,
Yeah.
like kind of keeping with the Sabbats, and um that really I think keeps me in touch with like the seasons and the turning of the wheel. And then the witchcraft piece is like casting magic and being, to me, I think it's even being more in touch with like your local like spirits that are part of the land and your house and where you live, plus your guides. And I know, there's so much crossover, but I really see like witchcraft as like there's my guides and who I follow, and that's more the witchcraft side, where to me paganism is more the Wheel of the Year and the Sabbats, and celebrating those, like keeping in touch with the movement of the seasons, where witchcraft is more that like everyday magic and the tarot, and um uh connecting with those energies and those spirits, and like being able to cast magic when I need to, or when I want to, um and kind of knowing how to do that, like that's definitely like the witchcraft, the witchy piece of all that. So, and that kind of keeps it fun with like the whimsy piece too, of
Yeah.
pulling in like the different like land spirits, whether you believe in fae or fairies and elves and all that kind of stuff. But to me, that's more my witchy practice and not the pagan practice.
Yeah.
But all of it really, I mean, pagans believe that stuff too, and don't feel that they're witches. So a lot of it is very similar. It's just how you kind of divide it in your head and your practice.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious. I know that like you celebrate like solstice or Yule and like incorporate your kids into that. Like, how did you share that with them? Or like, how do you or what do you share with them about what's important to you?
So it was nice because I didn't develop the practice after kids. So I already was working, like I already felt like a pagan witch before I even had
Yeah,
children. And so I had already switched to Yule, celebrating
that
Yule.
practice.
And I
Yeah.
don't do like the 12 days of Yule, because with kids it's just really hard. And I think life, right? Like modern life, it's hard to fully like do a full celebration sometimes. But
Yeah.
that's just what we did, is we didn't celebrate Christmas. We have always celebrated Yule on the solstice, and I mean it's just like Christmas without the baby Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, some could say it was before the baby Jesus.
Yeah. So it's not that different that they ever had issues with it, with like their friends. It's just like we just celebrate Yule, and it's before Christmas. And the same with like Samhain. We've done like the silent suppers, which is hilarious with young kids because they cannot stay cool.
Right. They're like funny concept, not gonna happen.
I know, but it's hilarious to try to like watch them like try to be quiet. But
Mm.
also, I've tried to teach them to like honor your ancestors. We're not just like this piece right now. Like there's all this history
Yeah.
and there's a cultural identity associated with that too. Because here, especially in the US, we've lost that cultural identity and
Yeah.
we try to find it in other indigenous cultures and practices, and like I don't want to appropriate other cultures. I want to like honor my ancestors' culture, and that's how I explain it when people ask about me, especially being pagan. And I'm like, this is what my ancestors did. Like
Yeah.
they were not Christian. Um they were pagan. Like they honored the land and the rituals and the seasons, and I feel closer to my ancestors because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you shared earlier that like, yeah, you felt like a pagan witch before kids. Like, did you always feel that way? Did that like come about in adulthood? Like, when
Oh,
did
in
you settle
adulthood,
on that?
uh,
Yeah.
100%. Like in my like mid 20s, like mid to late 20s, that's when things started kind of like percolating for me. Like I found um I think it's the Witch Within or something. Um, and that was like my first book that kind of led me down this path, but it was definitely as an adult. And luckily, my parents were not like super strong Christians. They were for my, because I'm the youngest, they were for my older siblings.
Mm.
But by the time I came around, there was not a lot of like that Christian dogma. And so I didn't
Yeah.
that to let go of. It felt very like I could easily move into this and it wasn't such a big deal. Like I didn't have all the baggage and all that stuff that kind of muddies trying to move into a new practice.
Yeah.
And working as a nurse, like I worked a lot of holidays. So
Mm. Yeah.
my 20s, the holidays didn't have like this necessarily significant, huge meaning because I usually worked Thanksgiving and Christmas and
Right. I mean, you basically have to work some holidays, right? Like
right.
you have to
And
choose
and I
which
was
ones.
I was a traveler for several years
Mm.
and
Yeah.
I didn't have kids at that time and so I was like I'll work the holidays because then the staff nurses get off. So like
Yeah.
the significant meaning that's associated with a lot of the holidays like had already kind of dissipated for me because I'm working a 12-hour shift. It's not such a big deal.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so hard for me to incorporate these other holidays in like my practice and what especially when my kids were younger it was just like this is we didn't celebrate Easter, we celebrated Ostara, and
Yeah.
that was fine because again it's just like Ostara without the Jesus.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I know it is interesting though, like when you kind of do the like I don't know, the part of like witch learning where you're like, oh, like this is what people have been doing forever. And also like all Christian holidays are just like appropriate. It's like, oh, it all makes sense now. Or at
Yeah.
least that was my own journey. Like to
Oh,
me, it's
100.
very helpful, right, to understand like, well, why the heck do we have an Easter bunny and Jesus and eggs? Like on the same holiday. Like, what? And to just always being right. Like, I mean, if someone told me that that's just how it was, I'm like, that's a terrible answer. Like, what do you mean you don't care to know, like, why there's an Easter bunny?
Right.
Um,
And it's nice because a lot of times those holidays are celebrated earlier than like the Christian holidays. So like Yule is this Sunday
yeah,
and then but then Christmas is like 5 days later, but I'm done. Like my holiday
right.
done and I just relax when everyone else is like in a frenzy and I'm like I'm kicking back in my pajamas. It's great.
Right. You're like, this is a great season for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same
Yeah.
with Ostara. Like Ostara is before Easter. And so it's just like, oh, that holiday is done. Like we've celebrated and then we just kind of we're not caught up in the frenzy, especially with young kids, where I mean there's so much pressure to do the holidays in whatever
A certain way. Yeah.
yeah. And then I'm like, but I'm done. And was it made the pressure on me less because
Yeah.
like any last minute stuff, like stores are still open. So it's
Right. Yeah. 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 That's like an interesting component of I hadn't thought about as much of like the yeah, when it happens.
mm,
Because also I'm like, yeah, it all happens on moon cycles, not sun cycles. So it's always different.
mm,
Whereas a lot of our, especially well, and even just having like holidays that become federally mandated days off or whatever that looks like, it's just like that's for a certain percentage of people. But that doesn't mean that, yeah, that even everyone gets off, like you're saying. Um, and that it isn't this like sacred thing in a lot of ways because you don't actually get that day off. The healthcare still has to happen on Christmas.
yep.
And I think sometimes like holidays are actually like the worst time, like when the most people come in for emergency things. Um, maybe that's not actually true, but just like, right, there's a lot of like things around that time, drinking and cooking
Fireworks.
turkeys for a really long time, fireworks, right? Like, yeah, a lot of the things that, yeah, are associated with certain holidays create a lot of injuries potentially. Um, yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, I don't have like a great segue into this, so we're just gonna go for it. But like, I know when I asked, what you were interested in talking about on the podcast, you shared that like tarot has helped you take back your power in life instead of maybe like giving it away to others or letting other people kind of like make decisions for you or go along with like societal scripts. Like how do you feel like it helps you with that? Or like what have you learned like from tarot or using it?
Because it's that direct connection between
Mhm.
you and spirit, whatever that looks like for the individual.
Yeah.
But there's not like that intermediary person or
Yeah, of like the priest or whatever to tell you what
exactly.
things are,
There's
or
no one else interpreting but you and the book, really. But it's really like learning to read the cards is a practice and but it's a direct connection. Like there's not room for someone else interpreting it based on what their beliefs are. It's your direct connection to like your underlying patterns, your own spirit, your guides. Like it, it's just it peels away a lot of layers that we are put on with culture, like how we're raised, the culture we're raised in, the family culture, all that energy and patterns. It really kind of it helps you cut through that. And so it's really helped me not externalize your power and like give it away to someone, like tell me what
yeah,
to do. It's you're asking the cards, but they're not interpreting something differently, right? Like they're not, oh, they don't have another culture or pattern that interprets the cards for you. Like you're literally just there. Like it's a direct connection. And
yeah,
that has really helped me like let go of a lot of labels that get put on you and has helped me like work through a lot of that because there's just not it's just you and the cards. I've done it a lot with friends and we'll pull for each other and then have discussions about it, but it's even that is still like there's not an ulterior motive in those discussions. Like it's you're taking back that power that has, especially as women, it's been externalized to your father, your husband, your priest, like all these other external pieces. And it's like, no, you just like it's me and the cards and my guides and my deity. And there's not like it's not being filtered in any way. And so I think
Yeah.
really helped like peel apart some of those layers that get and labels that get put on us. So it's really helped with that, and it's a process, none of it's like gonna be overnight, but I've been doing it for like 20 years, and that I think has made a big difference in my life because I don't have to go to someone else to ask questions. I'm like, and I can do it at random times.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's portable, like you
Yeah.
can do it whenever you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too, sometimes like the skepticism around tarot is like almost the like shadow side of what you're talking about, or it's like another version of that where it's like, yeah, what if you're just like making it all up, or right, like you're picking I'm like, well, who cares? Because like the whole thing is that like it's about what you think it's about. Where like you're saying it's right, like there is no like authority that's gonna tell you. I mean, like some you can go online and try to find tarot courses where someone will maybe perhaps try to tell you what certain cards are. But to me, like, yeah, that is the fun part about it is that like no, every deck is different, and like you might see a card one day and the next day you're like, oh, I have a different feeling about it, or different people interpret cards different ways even if they have the
Well,
same
and I think
deck.
you can lie to yourself for years, but
Yeah,
eventually the tarot is going to be like, mm-mm. Like it'll
yeah,
show you that you're lying to
yeah,
yourself. And I think that's where people sometimes also get scared, and they get scared away from tarot because you know, it's not all fluffy bunnies.
right.
It's
Yeah,
it's the
yeah, I
tower
know it's
card.
interesting when I get like questions about it, like, oh, it doesn't work, where I'm like, oh, most people have the opposite, where you like you actually start working with the tarot and you're like, how did it know? Right. Where it's like almost the like, oh, like you're saying, oh, I've been lying to myself about that. Or like, I didn't tell anyone. And then this card comes up and it's like, oh, I'm being read to filth, as they say, about that. Oh, yeah, no, right. Like, it's totally right. I'm not doing this thing, or I said I was gonna, and I'm not. Where, yeah, I feel like it's like it deepens the relationship with self.
And I think that really scares a lot of people. And I think that's also why certain practices discourage tarot reading, right? Because
Yeah.
but that's why, like you can lie to yourself about it for so long, and then it'll be like, no, like this is a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's like a whole other, yeah, of like, oh yeah, why is tarot? Or even just the idea of like, yeah, witchcraft or being called a witch, or that it's been very, I mean, it's also interesting because like another facet of your personality is also like herbalism and working with plants, where I'm like that, doula, tarot, witchcraft, paganism, all get lumped into the like anti-Christian uh, pot.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I certainly see it like you do, where I'm like, oh yeah, no, like they like no, people want you to like have to, yeah, go to your priest to tell you what to do, or like have patriarchy be in charge.
Right. Or
Um,
go to your OB to have a baby and not
yeah,
have the support to
that
push
you
past
want.
boundaries
Yeah,
or have what you want, and um yeah, I mean it's all a power play, and tarot cuts through that 100%.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking about how, like, as a therapist, I spend so much time telling clients, like, you don't have to do that, or like, you can say no, or like, right, that, like, I mean, we also live in a society that's very abusive, or like not very boundaried, or loves to be controlling of people. Where I'm like, I can understand why, like, yeah, tarot or witchcraft or paganism or being a witch has been sort of like pushed into this category. of like, oh, you're bad, or that's like
Right.
a
Like
demon or whatever it is.
it's
But
anything that empowers the individual to like push back and set boundaries. Then
yeah,
it, right, then it's no, that's bad.
yeah,
And that's dark magic or whatever. And it's like, no, well, it is because it pushes back against the patriarchy and Christian thought, right? Like it's
yeah.
and they're all and they don't want people to take their individual control back. Um, and that's what's happening now is that women have more control over our bodies and our thought and education, and that
Money.
money, and that's the huge pushback of, well, no. So, yeah.
Yeah. I don't totally know where my through line is here, but I'm like it making me think about how you and I run small businesses and like entrepreneurship and to me, I'm like, oh yeah, there's like that's like another facet of this idea of like pushing back against the system or trying to support people in different ways than maybe is traditionally upheld. Yeah,
Right.
I
Like
don't
we
know if
don't
you,
work for someone else in a cubicle like 8 to 5, and clocking in and clocking out. Yeah. It's just running your own small business is a pushback against capitalism just because you're not towing that line and working for these big box companies, and you're doing something different and you're helping people differently, and then it's a ripple effect. Then it shows people that you can do things differently. That's why on
yeah,
my website, under my resources, I have a listing called Nurses in the Wild, because I want to show other nurses that you can do other things with your license. Like you don't have to do bedside, you don't have to do clinic work. Like there's other
yeah,
nurse jobs that like other small business owners that you can do with your license and not be like in this little box of what traditional nursing looks like. And that's a lot of it, to like just inspire people to look at what you can do differently.
yeah. Yeah, and I think too, at least my own experience in like running a business and like, being the CEO is like, oh yeah, there's also like there's no one else to blame when things go wrong. Like there, right. It's like it's also this like major experience of like self work and sort of like we're talking about with the tarot where it's like, yeah, you can't really hide if like you're the only employee and being like, who's not getting that work done? Mm, guess it's me.
That would be me. Yeah, that was so hard.
Yeah, I'm like, that's like been the hardest, even as someone that's like kind of hated all the jobs I've ever had. I'm like, this is definitely the one that's like the hardest, like kind of emotionally. Is that like, ooh, yeah, like everything that's like potentially a problem or like isn't going well, like it's
Yeah,
just me, like kind
you
of
want to
doing it.
accelerate your therapy, start a business.
Yeah.
You learn all your triggers and issues, and it's like, oh yeah, like I am.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Where it's like, yeah, you don't have to answer to anyone else except yourself and like your
Right.
past and future selves.
And
Uh,
that was so hard for me because you're like, okay, I want to get this task done by like Friday, and then Friday comes, you're like, I haven't even started the task. Like,
you're like, I
you're
forgot that
like
I had a to-do list.
next
Yeah.
100%. You're like, what was I doing? I don't remember. I'll do it next month. Right? Like that's been the hardest thing to do, is like setting boundaries with yourself and holding yourself accountable and like being more organized, because working in a clinic and just in healthcare in general, if you don't have ADHD, your brain is trained to be constantly interrupted. So you feel like you have ADHD because you're just like popcorn. Like I
Yeah.
constantly
So
man,
much stimulus and then also like you just have to switch things all the time. Yeah.
right? And so I've had to really work through that habit of feeling like I'm constantly stimulated by something And if I'm not stimulated by something, then like
That something's wrong
right, or
or
like
that I'm
finding
bored.
other things to do, and
Yeah.
especially working from home where you're like, oh, I could be like doing laundry while I'm doing this email, and so now I have to do laundry, and then look what else is might be, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's so hard.
Truly.
Yeah, that's been um definitely hard as a because there's no management, like there's no true
Right. It's
discipline.
like, yeah, I'm accountable to myself, right? I think in a lot of ways it kind of, yeah, it really forces you or like as the business owner to be realistic also, right? Where it's like, yeah, sure, I put it on my to-do list this Monday, but I knew I had about 33 total extra minutes this week to like do anything. And I ate during that time instead of like
And I need to
send,
sleep and
right? Or instead of like creating this thing. Yeah, where I feel like that is sort of what tarot has helped me with is like, right, okay, if I am, because I think that's the other component. You and I, use tarot sometimes when we're doing our quarterly planning or as we're thinking about the future. That I think it's like it's something that kind of like grounds you into a place of like reality of being like, yeah, okay, like actually I should maybe only try to launch one new thing every like 3 months. Even though,
yeah.
again, it's like as a business owner, there's so much potential. There's so many things you could do or like implement. But then
But
with the
like this
reality of
last
like,
quarter that we did, it was like, oh no, like the reality was different than what I was hoping, right? And
yeah,
looking for different options of for myself. And that's also like the magic of tarot, where yeah, things aren't always like sunshine and roses and great. You know,
yeah,
you're always getting the world card. It's sometimes it's the tower. And
yeah, yeah. But I think in traditional business and like a lot of society, in our like very sun-facing society, right? Where it's like, no, just like do things endlessly, right? Just like productivity all the time. Where we're recording this in deep winter, we're very near winter solstice, where I'm like, yeah, no. Like I'm not creating a whole bunch of new things right now. Like that's not right. I'm like dreaming of things. We're planning some things, but it's like, no, let me be realistic about like what I can actually do
right.
in the next 3 weeks, which is like nothing new. It's
Well,
like
and it's
rest.
also it's honoring like the system or the cycle, the
Yeah.
season that you're in.
Right. Where it's like, I'm not supposed to be starting
Right.
a bunch of new things right
Right. And
now.
you don't want to like everyone's talking about, 2026 planning and I'm like, shit, I'm like not even planning fourth quarter and we're in the middle of it. Like
Yeah.
it's left. And I'm just like but you look at this the season of where you are and it is that more like yeah, you're doing things, but you're not like full steam ahead. Like it's not like
Yeah.
May, April, May, June, where like you
Where we
have,
have like 16 hours of sunlight a day where we live in the Pacific Northwest, where I'm like, yeah, I have so much time. Here we're at like, I don't know, 7 hours of daylight at best,
yeah.
3 p.m. and it's pretty dark already.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think that is the other thing that like tarot as a practice and part of my own like spirituality and witchcraft is that like wheel of the year is the seasonal living is the cycles, which just helped me frame so much greater understanding of like, yeah, you don't have to be like doing the most all the time. Like it's kind of this permission. And also, yeah, that like it's very unrealistic to always be producing new things or always be grinding or whatever the kids
Right.
say.
That hustle culture that
Yeah,
is
that's
in,
like so popular right now. Or maybe we're on more the tail end of it. I feel like we're in like burnout culture now. That's like where we
yeah.
live actually.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, and there's that pushback against like capitalism and hustle culture and like the big
yeah. Because yeah, the other side of hustle is burnout, right? Like that's like let's be honest that like you can do it for a time, but you can't do it forever. Um, yeah.
yeah, and I think tarot also kind of reminds you that it's not all production. Like we don't always have to be producing and like doing things because it's engaging that other part of your brain
Yeah.
where you're not really paying attention to the clock and the time when you're doing a tarot spread or something. You're and like you're engaging with time a lot differently. And the more you do it, the more you're like, oh, time is of course a construct, right? Like it's not
Yeah.
like the seasons pass, but the hours and minutes and like that's all like a construct. And if you're not constantly watching the time and the minutes, then like and you're engaging differently, then you're pulling yourself out of that paradigm a little bit more frequently.
Yeah. Yeah. And sort of like, I feel like reclaiming that actually your time belongs to you,
Mm,
um, and not to other people.
right.
Um, which again, definitely not what we've been taught. I want to pull some cards now. I'm trying to think, is there like a topic or something that came up today that we want to frame our cards around?
Um, I I don't I mean, no.
Okay, that seems fine. I feel like I want to pull three cards. I don't really know what our prompt should be. Um, I don't know. Well, we could just do like past, present, future. We can think about that. Um, let's see. Yeah, I feel like that seems good. I'm gonna stand up real quick because I'm tired of sitting, and then I'll pull cards.
Hey, you and your fancy camera.
I know. My fancy desk also. Okay, turning my keyboard around so I can have space to feel. So I'm going to be using the Herb Crafter's Tarot since that's a good fit for you and I, as Doris is a herbalist. This is by Letitia Guthrie and artwork by Joanna Powell Colbert. Here. And yeah, I'm thinking about past, present, future. Trying to think about of what, like, I don't know,
I
other
think sometimes
things.
it really feels just like a check-in, like a
Yeah,
past
yeah.
present future check-in.
Okay. Pulled some in reverse, but this deck does not lend super well to reversals. So the past, I pulled turmeric. I need my mouse real quick so I can look at myself. Show the card. Turmeric here, which we have like a pot, it looks like I'm doing some natural dyeing and some things. I'm like, to me, I'm like, this is like inflammation, burnout. That's like what I immediately think of when I think of kind of like turmeric and what
Well,
it
and yeah, because
does.
turmeric is an anti-inflammatory. So,
Yeah. It also, right, is like extreme dyeing power, right? Like it is a very good natural dye, as you'll know if you've ever um put it on any kitchen towels or on a cutting board. That usually things are like a nice yellowy orange for a long time. Okay, and this here is the Eight of Earth, which would be like the Eight of Pentacles equivalent. Um, so I'll read here. It says, let your tasks be an embodied prayer. Do the work, teach what you know. And it talks about what's on the card. So it says, fresh turmeric is sliced on a cutting board. An old white dress is lifted from a pot of warm water mixed with bright orange powder made from the dried root. Old t-shirts, dresses, and linens await their turn in the dye bath. Tools rest on the counter, freshly dyed garments dry on a line in the sun. Dedication leads to mastery. Is your commitment strong enough? Put in the time to hone your skills. The longer fabric soaks in the dye bath, the more vibrant and lasting the color. Hard work may sometimes take its toll. It can feel isolating and frustrating. Do it anyway. Turmeric stabilizes the body, increasing vitality and strength. Remember to care for yourself at the root. I'm like, oh yeah. If you are
That's
struggling with diminished self-worth, teach your craft to others. Look for ways to engage the community in your projects. Turmeric medicine survives because it's been passed down through generations. Trust the value of keeping time-honored traditions alive.
I mean, that's what we were talking about. Like,
Yeah, right. I mean, the time-honored traditions, the sort of like hard work, burnout culture, and also just the like kind of what hard work actually like feels and looks like, which is like
right.
it's hard
Yeah.
and
Well,
it's
and the hard work of
isolating.
like running your own business and
Yeah,
all like, and then like teaching what you know, which is I know a lot about burnout because I experienced it for 20 years. So
yeah,
now that's what I'm doing. So that's, yeah. I mean, this is the thing about like, amazes me about tarot. It's like
yeah.
all of that.
Yeah. Well, and this deck tells you how to craft with it. So it always has suggestions at the bottom of like how to work with it. So it says you can enjoy some golden milk. So, made from turmeric, milk, honey, and ginger. You can make turmeric dyed prayer flags as expressions of joy. And you can host a turmeric dyeing party, gather community, and teach them what you have learned. Very nice. I like that it's also like community
Right. Which is
focused.
100% all what I'm all about is creating community and promoting community, especially amongst nurse culture. So, I mean, it's a huge part
Yeah.
of what I do.
Yeah. Okay. For our present card, I pulled chicory
Hmm.
here, the pretty kind of bluish purple flowers. It's the two of air, which would be like the two of swords. It says, release long-held beliefs, be receptive to guidance, and open to unlikely partnerships. Chicory thrives in a meadow. The tall stems pierce the sky, and ground nesting birds make a home in the dense brush underneath. The flowers' blue petals jut out like platforms, hubs of pollinating activity. Bees and moths gather morning nectar, wasps devour aphids, and two white butterflies flitter about the wild field. I'm like, yeah, it has like its own ecosystem. Old ideas can be blinders to new vision. Let go of worn out thinking to see an issue clearly. Chicory is often classified as a weed. It is, however, a beneficial medicine plant that draws important insects to the garden. Be receptive to new guidance, gather info before taking action, and be still and look within. I also really like that in this image, it's very like be free and like wave around and like be pretty and also like intentional.
And
Um,
and I think it really speaks to like the ecosystem that you create or that, speaking
yeah, do you surround yourself with or
right
yeah,
that I've created, looking at like the podcast that we're going to launch next year together,
yeah,
like that's a whole other ecosystem that I have randomly thought about because so many people start podcasts, but certainly would not be starting on my own. But with you and Izzy and us all doing it together and sharing the load, 100%, you know,
yeah,
and and also, ecosystem shift and change, but also, the last 4 years, even the last 2 years, I've created a bigger like business ecosystem
yeah.
that is starting to lead to more things, and
Yeah, it also like creates resiliency, right? Like if one thing doesn't go well, then like this other thing kind of makes up for it. It also talks about here chicory has a long tap root, bringing nourishment to the surface. A deep dive will quiet self-doubt. What is really true? Acknowledge what you do not want to accept, and then be willing to listen. When it's your turn to share, do not hide behind a closed, fearful heart. Open wide like the bold chicory flowers. And I think I definitely like have felt that way in business. Like so much excitement in the beginning, and then you kind of go into the like, oh my God, what did I do? I thought this would be easy. Oh my God. Like, no, it's just a different kind of hard.
Right.
And then kind of like you're saying, like getting into a place where it's like, oh, okay, I have a bit more excitement again. I have like some more like, yeah, like support, community, network, literally, so that I can open my heart back up again to being excited about things or kind of like pursuing, like you're saying, oh, a thing that I've thought about for a while, but I wasn't sure how that was going to happen, if not like with the help of others. Um, it says if you want to craft with this, you can pluck the petals of a chicory flower, release old beliefs aloud with the falling of each one, observe the pollinating insects, journal the question, how might I be open more in my relationships, and be bold and clear. Dress like a chicory flower, put blue streaks in your hair. Wow. See, it does have like a very free
Yeah.
feel to it, which was what I got from like the visual of the card, where it's just like
Yeah.
waving around.
Well, it's in a meadow, it's open, right?
Yeah, one with a deep taproot. It's like it's not gonna fall over. Like
And
it's
it's very
fine.
secure in the ecosystem because of that.
Yeah.
And especially working as an entrepreneur and running your own business, like like you need to have an ecosystem around you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
and
It's like you can't do it all alone, for
no,
sure.
and it opens up doors that you would not have thought of at all, but also you still need that grounding.
Right.
And to me, a lot of that is like tarot, paying attention to the seasons and the moon cycles. Like to me, that is very grounding.
Yeah.
And but so it's not all just one thing either. It's
Right. More of that resiliency in systems too. Yeah. And then for our future, I pulled Tulsi. I don't think I've ever pulled this one before, which is, Tulsi Basil. And it says Awakening. So this is a major arcana card. This is I think it's the moon equivalent. No, it's not. The star, the moon, the sun.
the universe,
Well, no, it's the 20th, like number 20. So it's right before the world. Trying to think what that mark might be. I'm gonna have to look in a tarot. Yeah, what's usually a card 20? Tower, sun. It's gonna be very obvious when I figure it out, but is it like strength or
hmm.
judgment? That's what it is. That's the 20th card. So yeah, I think I get that because like judgment would be like to me, I'm like, yeah, Christianity. But like in other spiritual systems, it would be like awakening. It says, make an offering to the sacred, awaken to your life purpose. Devotion to your calling is devotion to the world. It talks about a pot filled with lush, thriving tulsi plants sit on a beautiful white tapestry imprinted with cream-colored lotus flower mandala. A few leaves are scattered on the tapestry. Two sprigs of tulsi with dark purple flowers cradle the silver pot. An oil lamp lightly burns in the corner. A mala crafted of tulsi wood is placed near the base of the plant. Sacred service is the call of the divine. Reverence for nature inspires connection with all beings. Tulsi, also known as holy basil, has been a highly regarded panacea for over 3,000 years. It enhances memory, restores energy, and clears toxins. Take care of your well-being and awaken consciousness. Committing to rituals that have special meaning for you will lead to spiritual awareness. Free your life of anything that keeps you from your purpose. Deepen your relationship with what enchants you. Devotion to your holy work spreads goodness to all. How lovely.
That really made me think of so I got a bone reading a couple
Oh,
weeks ago,
yes.
and one of the messages out there was to lean into like just daily rituals that
Mm,
benefit or connect with my spiritual practice. and it was the moon and the goddess was the message. And like that's, that's the same thing. It's like leaning into, especially in this world. I mean, there's so much chaos and across, globally, like at large, but
Yeah.
also, as a small business owner, it's hard.
Yeah.
Even just in a normal time, it's hard to run a business. And I think it's important to and to lean into these practices that ground you and center you, and like lean into other guides besides just, this business coach or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
um, because that's really where you never know where those doors will lead and that energy will lead. And it's kind of going back to like studying the ecosystem, but it's like studying the ecosystem of yourself too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Like working like from the inside out of like,
right.
okay, I have my groundedness. This is what I do. And then as I go out in the world and in my business,
Hmm.
kind of also having that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's like almost this like devotion to self and like devotion to your business, where again, I think like sometimes I will get to points where I'm like, yeah, it'd be easier to not run my own business, right? It's like, yeah, it's just a different kind of hard, but I feel devoted to it, right? Like that there's an aspect of it that feels important and relevant, and that yeah, it's like I'm giving something and getting something from it, even when it's not
Yeah, like
easy.
I have a friend who has thought about opening up her own business, but then she's seen how hard it really is, and she's like,
Yeah. Like, nah.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
and I think like right, like that's a very respectable choice, right? Like I think yeah, it's definitely, and even if you open it for a while and you close it and like at some point like that's also like good on you. Um
well, and
'Cause yeah.
you like there's so many lessons about yourself that you learn, and like who you are.
Yeah.
I've always been this, like public speaking has always been hard for me, or like speaking up in meetings. But I realized I would get anxiety about speaking up in meetings because I always expected pushback, and not
Yeah.
nice pushback, not like, oh,
Yeah,
that,
it's like it's trauma. It's like it
right,
didn't come from nowhere.
right. It's
Yeah.
always been like traumatic pushback. And
Yeah.
as an adult, it's different in like high school and stuff. Like we're not like when I was growing up, we weren't doing a lot of public speaking. But as an adult, it's because there's always been harsh pushback on what you're saying. It's never
Yeah.
been a supportive environment. But now I do public speaking all the time. Like I do workshops, I do webinars, I do like I'm in a networking group, and we like do a little commercial like every week. And
Right.
I just pull it out of thin air, and there's not that anxiety around it anymore. One, I do it all the time now. Like I was a guest speaker at a nurse conference in September in Alaska, and it was fun and it was nice, and I gave my herbal medicine uh webinar, or I did it as a workshop, but it's now my herbal medicine webinar for the first time. And I know the material, but I wasn't like practicing it, like how
Yeah.
people stand up in a mirror and like you practice how you speak and what you're saying, and I just go off the cuff. And so it doesn't, but I wouldn't have known that if I didn't quit working as a staff nurse and open up my own business. Like I would never have
Yeah.
had that opportunity to do these things. And so I will probably never go back to being that like anxious, and people will say mean things to you and I won't know what to say because fuck yeah, I know what to say now. And part of it too is like I'm more grounded in who I
Yeah.
than I
Right. That like even if they did, you'd be like, well, they're dumb. Like or just like who cares? Like, yeah, it
It's
would
so
impact you less.
different.
Yeah.
And you don't know that until like you push yourself and challenge yourself and do things differently. And
Yeah. Well,
the
and also just like, yeah, how different it is when like, right, people are coming to you for a workshop, right? Like they're coming for your expertise and like, yeah, that's not always how it feels in other situations where
yeah,
people are like trying to debate you about your opinion. You're like,
right.
it's my
Or
opinion. Like,
or be like, no, you're wrong, or we're not
right,
going to support you because there's always been this hierarchy and patriarchy in healthcare where it's the doctors versus the nurses. And
right.
I think
Which is already like usually a gendered dynamic. Yeah.
right. And they will tell you that we're a team, but you're not really a team.
Yeah. Right. Where it's like, it's this idea that you're all peers. And so then when you were sitting there, you're like, well, right, like I want to contribute my opinion. If we're all peers, like,
Mhm.
shouldn't we listen to everyone's
But they don't really
ideas?
want to hear you.
Yeah. But it's like you were operating in a system that was like, again, pretending to be one thing and really was
Yeah.
like, shut up, sit down, we're in charge. And yeah, it's like when you're in that system, it feels like, am I just like crazy? Like, am I right? Like, I guess I'm not a good public speaker, right? If I was, I would be able to share my opinions and then people would hear
Right.
me.
And have a discussion about it and be able to
Yeah.
defend myself. But that was also the problem is that I always felt like I had to defend what I was saying.
Yeah.
And but not in like a conversation wise. It was this like head-on collision way. Like it was
Yeah.
collaborative or supportive. It was no, you're wrong, or you might want this, but we don't support it, and we're not gonna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great, that's fun.
You're like, cool, I'll just be here, I guess. Cool.
Right.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like I could go on a whole tangent about that, but I should
yeah,
probably
and we will go on whole
wrap it
tangents,
up.
but
Yeah, exactly. Stay tuned for our future podcast. Uh,
well, and like I, you know, I listen to podcasts, but like this is a whole new endeavor that we're doing, and in another year, we don't know where it'll be, but it will be exciting. 100% it'll be
yeah, at this time last year, I was like, I guess I'm going to start a podcast.
right. Right. And you started yours. And so it's like it feels easier for us to start it because you've already like broken those waters and
Yeah,
through it. And so it's easier. It feels a lot easier because it's like, oh yeah, Camille's been doing it for a year.
yeah, yeah. And now I'm like in that public speaking pit where I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, I recorded 250 episodes. Like, I don't need to prepare that much.
Yeah.
I still do, but yeah, I guess it depends on the episode actually,
Mhm.
like as to how much. Because I also like tarot because it's in the moment. It's
Mhm.
like, sure, you could try to script things out or like I think in the same way that you feel like you've learned about public speaking, it's like actually the most like interesting, authentic, genuine thing is when you speak from like your experience and what feels important in the moment, even if 2 weeks ago when you were like, I'm gonna give this talk, this is what I'm gonna say, like it just doesn't always feel relevant once you get to the actual moment of
Right.
what's going on. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me today,
Yeah.
Doris.
I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
Thanks
If
for
you want to
having me.
connect, oh yeah, it's been very fun. It's nice to interview you in this capacity. I learned some things I did not know about you, even though Doris and I know each other for,
For
yeah,
almost four
yeah, almost 4 years. Yeah.
because
So,
we met soon after I started my business in 20.
okay. So that's an easy way to mark the time. Yeah. So, yeah. If you want to connect further with Doris, you can go to Moonshine Wellness, pnw.com, same on Instagram, and check out the /events section for the January workshop and the February sleep webinar. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, I have my guest inquiry form linked in the show notes, and links for the decks I talk about will always be in the show notes on my website. I'll also link the crow one, at least, that Doris talked about as well. Thanks for joining me today on Everyday Tarot. Just as a reminder, the podcast comes out daily, Monday through Friday for all of 2025. You can email me, me@CamilleASaunders.com, with your thoughts, questions, and more. All right, see you soon. Bye-bye.